The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. I have come, it's cold and losing my control. The light is gone, the night is come, it's crazy. The light is gone, I wish that you could save me from my isolation. My mind's too complicated. I stop this conversation. It's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's stop this conversation. Let's stop this conversation. We got no relation. No relation. We got no relation. No relation. Night is coming, it's crazy. Night is coming, it's only time. And it goes like this. You could save me. My isolation, my mind's too complicated. I stop this conversation.
Hey, what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? I have an open invitation, but you're telling me go get lost. I don't wanna see your face. Yeah, what the hell? So why don't we stay out till the morning light? Cause two wrongs can make a right. We're just doing what we feeling right now. Some Chardonnay, we camp in the parking lot. Leave traces of plastic cups. We're just doing what we feeling right now. So what the hell? Why you hanging on the rooftop by yourself? Always waiting for the one, but I got news for you. I'm the best that you can get, so what the hell? Yeah, what the hell? So what the hell? So what the hell? What are you waiting for now? And what the hell? You're pretending that you like somebody else. Like you got boys waiting in line to take you home. But tell the truth, you'll spend the night alone. Let's be alone. So why don't we stay
Rising with each beat of the music is bringing. We're flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart so full. I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive. We're just listening. We're existing. We stay when the music plays. Let us drop below and the people sway. Rising with each beat of the music is bringing. We're flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in. Welcome, my heart so full. I'm devoting myself to the night. There's no motive. We're just listening. We're existing. We stay when the music plays. Let us drop below and the people sway.
Running round like dollars in the wind, bending over backwards just to let you in. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. Yeah, I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the I was I'm sick of fighting the things that you said. I don't wanna burn all our bridges ahead. I'm tired of going to bed when you left me on red just to turn up the noise in my head. I told you that one day ain't never enough. You tell me I hate you, I still call you up. If we don't got trust, we can never have love. I was putting in the hours, I was. But you were calling me a liar, 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 liar. I've been putting in the hours, I was. And it's coming down to now and now and now and now and never. I was putting in the putting in the
Got wandering eyes that I seem to follow. Can only stay still for some time. I've never aligned with the city's pulse
Dreams collide in sleepless nights. Stars explode through blinding lights. Victories found in the fight. I'm on top, my soul ignites. Life's a game, we learn the rules. Twist and turn like misfit fools. Through the pain we break the chains. Find the win through loss and gains. I've got a heart that's never quitting. In this race I'm always sprinting. Feel the power, victory sings. Born to conquer, spread my wings. Castles built on hope's foundation. Rivers run with pure elation. Through the storm I'll find my way. Triumph shines like break of day. Tides may turn but I remain. Steady, strong, won't yield to pain. In the end the truth will show. Strength and heart, the seeds we sow. I've got a heart that's never quitting. In this race I'm always sprinting. Feel the power, victory sings. Born to conquer, spread my wings. Tides may turn, but I remain. Steady, strong, won't yield to pain. In the end, the truth will show. Strength and heart, the seeds we sow. I've got a heart that's never quitting. In this race, I'm always sprinting. Feel the power, victory sings. Born to conquer, spread my wings.
It's yours to leave, but it won't keep me from this hard time. And I'll try to carry on again, but I never really knew that it was over.
Those medical pills all push me over. I kill my fill 3 times a day. These ethanol fumes won't make me sober. One flame to take the pain away. I caught you lighting matches in the back room. Hey,
always look mad when they pass you. Let's talk about round when it's past due. Raise a glass to know you don't gotta fight alone. You don't gotta fight alone. Don't be so personal. Take me out of the road. I'm going under. Take me out of the road. I'm going under. All we love, all we done is just sit around wasting our time. Take me out of the road. I'm going under. Around wasting our time. I'm going under. Everyone's seen death in their dreams, but we still wake up and go to sleep. Everyone's seen death in their dreams, but we still wake up from our sleep. I'll be home soon. You don't gotta fight alone. You don't gotta fight alone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're joining you here for the grand finals of the Luxe series. My name is Sherry J, joined by Jesse. We got some fantastic Valorant gameplay coming your way. Get ready for the action because we're going to take you straight on into it.
And if you were here 2 days ago for the upper finals, you will realize that this is a rerun of the matchup between Eternal and Employed. Now, if you do notice, Pearl was the decider for their last matchup when they played, but Lotus was also their first map one, which did go in the way of Eternal, and it was very one-sided. So right now, Employed, we need to see what they have to make up for that and see if they can at least keep this map one in contention with Eternal.
Jesse, we got one last dance across the board for the Luxe series in 2025 and a phenomenal map pool to get us started. Opening with Lotus, we saw it earlier in this week, but this is where it's really going to have to be both teams' start. This is where they have to set the tone and find how they're going to approach this map. Going on to Pearl, you get the chance to bring it back 1-1, possibly make a reverse sweep, and then that Haven. Something that both teams are going to want to really just get over towards. Maybe you get that hurdle crossed in Pearl. Maybe you fall short, but it's all up to that last map possibly. Or who knows, maybe it'll go like most of these games have gone in a 2-0 fashion. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the one thing to note about these three maps is, at least right now in the current rotation, is that these are the three most attacker-sided maps, with Lotus and Haven both having 3 bomb sites, and Pearl just having B long, which can easily be exploited by attacking teams. And with the Vice, Pearl has been a little bit more swung in the defender side, but I would say Pearl is still a very attacker-sided map. And as we see on Pearl and Haven, the attack has been chosen for the team that has the pick, but Eternal focus are on defense for this Lotus, which we saw them rock on the first time they played against Employed, but we'll see if they can have that repeat success.
Yeah, I believe it was a 13-6 or so on that first map, and obviously when you're on that defensive side, you don't get too many options. Obviously, you can play the map, you can try to work up A main, make some space towards C main if you want to really play for it, but when you're on that attacking side, you control the tempo. Time's against you, however, you're the ones that get to dictate how that round plays out. So Lotus, if you're going to be on this Employed squad, you really do have to come out the gate swinging, or else you could be off to a bad game one. And you don't want to get lost in the chaos if you are that side of the Employed. We've seen them lose out. We've seen them have to face their way through the ringer in the lower brackets. So definitely going to have to get some changes up and running in game number 2 if they do lose here. But yeah, if you're going to be picking that map, you're going to be the ones that are going to be more confident. So certainly the Employed are going to be a little bit less confident, but that doesn't give them any less right to win it out.
Absolutely true. And I like the way you talk about getting lost in the chaos. And for these two teams, they both love running double duelist comps, as we have seen on their past gameplay. And I mean, both teams have absolute shooters that can drop +10, +20 in a map, and we've seen it before. We've seen it on ISO, we've seen it on Clove, we've seen it on Neon, and both of these teams are going to come out swinging in all 2 or all 3 of these maps if we do eventually get there.
Yeah, the Employed, they've been put down. They've had to face that Empire Gaming squad in the lower bracket, but they have returned. They're in that upper final. This is where it matters. Coming up, I mean, we've seen that 2-0, that decisive win for Eternal Focus, but this is a little bit different now. The Employed have had chances to recuperate after the loss, and they have experience going 2-1s. They had a 2-1 against the Empire Vanguard, so certainly going to be something that if they do go to 3 maps, they'll be pretty confident going there. Now, on the opposite side, we haven't really seen too many 2-1s from this Eternal Focus squad, so definitely something that we won't have too much info on if they're going to be able to hold through, if they're going to be able to really keep up the pressure within all 3 maps, or whether or not they might deteriorate throughout the game.
Yeah, one thing I would like to note is on the side of Employed, we do have a new player in Wojo on this Raze. Previously, we have seen, if I am correct, Jay Birdie be on that roster, but he is subbed out for this grand finals, and I have not seen Wojo play on this roster. Maybe he did earlier in the tournament, but right now this could be a huge shakeup as Fronto Pronto, rightfully so, moves onto that ISO as being definitely the biggest fragger for that team. And right now we have the double duelist comp coming out from Employed, looking very brawly. They have the Breach and the Omen, arguably two of the best flashing agents in the game, and Eternal. They have the Neon and this double initiator, so both these teams are looking to come out swinging as we get into map 1.
Yeah, it is interesting seeing Jay Birdie not on the battlefield and switching Fronto Pronto over from the Neon onto the ISO, taking more of a, I guess the word would be just kind of passive duelist, unlike something like a Neon, like a Raze, where it's a lot more active. You're going to be a little bit more forced into taking those opening duels due to the mobility that your kit provides. So especially with those blast packs, this isn't something that we got to see so far on Lotus because most teams would opt in for that Neon. Wu Javal, they are somebody who is playing that Raze. They're going with a more conventional means on the map of Lotus. When you get to just put pressure down a main with the paint shells, it really does give a little bit of extra punch to that attack. So Eternal Focus Knight, they're going to have to really worry about that. And beyond that, they also have to find a way to really maneuver around the utility because of how impactful it can be, especially if the HP does start to deteriorate. It can leave you with a bit of a diminished look in your eyes if you do get hit by a blast pack, hit by a paint shell, hit by a boombot. Any of those can get the kill, and it's really going to be a question of will that be the case.
I mean, Employed, this comp has so much utility they could dump into a Rebel on this Lotus map. I would not be surprised to see if they defaulted towards that side of the map, like at least 70% of the time. And right now, Employed will be starting on that defender side with Eternal on the attacking. So I'm very interested to see what kind of read Employed have, because while they do have a lot of good utility to dump in that direction, they are leaving it for literally everything just wide open, only with that Vice there, with the flash there to get some passive information. But other than that, it seems like we're going to have a brawl on the C and B side of the map.
Already, the Employed does take a lot of space over towards C main. They're looking to work this up and possibly find a flank. However, you look over toward the other extremities, and Eternal Focus Knight has really just started to control the map. And it's some interesting smokes for sure. It gives a lot of cover for Fronto Pronto, who's going to be taking this aggressive angle. However, the Employed is just going to back off now. They know that they're a little bit too overextended, and one blind is going to take them off the lead.
Yeah, the door from B instantly gets open as we see 4 players converge on this C mound area, and there are 3 players from Employed to fight this if they so desire. The smoke does come through, and that will definitely halt the offense for a good little bit while information is being spotted on B. And right now, Casper has so much space onto A, just walked up. There is the Vice wall that will give the information to Employed when tripped, but all they really know is that is that a lurker or is it not? They don't really have all that information. They do have C's rotating to try to get a little bit of information. Flash comes through, catches on the Casper, and C's finds a pick for his troubles, taking down Kizzy. A very good opener into this round, while in Eternal, the only map control they have at this moment is A, and they are forced into a commit, but Employed just have the entire read with every player coming here. C's not able to land any opening shots. Did find the good timing, however, got some good damage, and Wojo finds a pick onto Polar. C's gets a lot of damage, good done, and no, goes down as well. C is getting 2 on the round, and is all on the Ghoul, but the double swing from Employed is just too powerful, and Employed get their pistol round on the board as they start off the defender-sided really well.
Yeah, the Employed was a really good team when it came to their pistol rounds, so I do like seeing them being able to take that once more, be able to get off onto a good start coming into Lotus. However, I don't know how much I appreciate this buy. They're going with a very standard Na'Vi FPX type buy where you're just going to go for 3 rifles. Maybe they'll make it 4 actually. And this Ghost 4Cs, this is somebody who was really impactful in the previous round, getting 2 kills, really being able to secure it, and sticking on a Ghost. Definitely an interesting idea, and we'll see whether or not they can find too much. With Fronto Pronto already on the front foot, you kind of have to wonder, does the Employed really have what it takes? The last couple games they played against Eternal Focus Knight definitely did not go their favor. So for another one to really have to get the difference and really have to get the better of them, it could just be the Employed to take a strong first game.
Yeah, and you can see C's with that Ghost is able to do work, and Fuzzy gets one with the Vandal as well, as Employed are up in a 4 versus 2. And the good news is they haven't lost any of the guns they bought up, as the only player that went down had that Ghost. And Fronto Pronto will be all on his lonesome, but does have this Marshal in hand, looking for a little bit of spam damage, but isn't able to find Note, who is a little bit more to the right in that corner. The Aftershock, so much utility coming towards these two players from Employed. The Boombot's going to get a connection, going to be blinded. Wojo gets one, and Wojo, going in full Apache attack helicopter mode, is going to get a second onto Kizzy as the defuse comes in for Employed, and they get a very clean second round as they don't lose any of the guns they invested.
Yeah, I really do like that from the Employed. That's only going to be that Ghost off the board, and that leaves the rest of the rifles to be recollected. Now coming into round number 3, this is where you really got to take it off. The Employed, when they first played this map against their opposition in Eternal Focus Night, they really did go down. Wojo, though, at 3-1 with 2 assists, really showing why they are that raised player. Fronto Pronto, when they were on that initiating duelist, they were in a little bit of a tough spot to say the least. 7-17 with 4 assists. Certainly a respectable scoreline, but definitely something you want to try and get back. Pushing them over to the ISO, definitely a gamble to see whether or not they'll have the impact when you're playing a character that relies so heavily on kills. However, it's an idea that might pay off in dividends if they can get this player decent positioning to be in, and it already seems like they're willing to take these aggressive angles. They're not scared.
Already into this round, only 20 seconds in, but we've already had a lot of A Rebel commotion, which is very standard for Lotus. And right now, Eternal seem like they might want to be pivoting away, maybe leave a lurk, but they've definitely created question marks into the heads of the defense. And if you look at the minimap, C site is wide open for the taking. There is that Vice Wall for that passive information, which in the last 2 rounds has gotten so much value for Employed to be able to rotate off of it. But Ghoul is going to walk up B, and this double hold might be a little too powerful. He's not able to land the headshot, but Ghoul just doesn't care. Lands the headshot onto 1, and the second was not prepared, as the C site is wide open with the closest players being on that B site. Will not be able to contest a single thing, especially with that Vice going down. That wall is not going to have any good value in that round. Ghoul holding a very aggressive angle, not able to find a kill. Hafi finds some good damage, but the dash, the running away, just able to get out of there. And Hafi swings while stunned, thinking it's cosmetic, but Ghoul gets a third. Wojo swings, not able to get anything, and Ghoul has 4 on the round, looking for the ace. Will most definitely swing into this, gets baited for, but Ghoul just gets taken down by the Marshal. 1 shot to the body is all it takes. Pronto with the Marshal in hand is definitely going to give it the good old college try, but will most likely not find any value into this round, as no Kizzy swings and finds the double dink onto Pronto, giving Eternal their much needed round.
Yeah, Ghoul really was a player who just kind of made that round happen. They were that chemical reaction that's necessary to be able to secure rounds, and it's nothing new for them. We saw them do this in this previous rematch. 24-13 with 6 assists on Lotus on the other day. That certainly is a performance that you cannot look back on and be disappointed at. So really, Eternal Focus Night, now that this overdrive is going to be online, they're going to want to try and drop this in just to make that extra round happen. They cannot allow this momentum to go underhanded, because the Employed, they are still at a pretty good economy. They did not invest into the round. The previous round, you only got 1 kill on them. This time, it was the opposite side, where only 1 kill was to you. So Eternal Focus, with these 2 ults in hand, they probably are going to want to drop them just to equalize this, ruin the economy of the Employed, and really just seal the deal, put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, Eternal at the start of the round, taking their A Rebel control back from last round. There was a lot of presence, so I am a little surprised that Eternal did not insta-react and hit C immediately, but that Vice utility is certainly scary and can slow anybody down. Note, spamming out to try to find those Razor Vines, won't find it, but was in the right general direction. Note will spot the wall and will want to bait it out. Gets hit twice to the body. Some good damage onto Note. So hats off to you, C's, but Ghoul just finds another opener into B. Opens the door to make some noise, only with 10 HP though. So a gust of wind will be able to blow him over, but Ghoul is just sitting here, standing here, stalwart, and waiting for a swing to come through, which may or may not come. But on the other side is the Omen, and both are just holding for this passive information. And C's in the back of C will most likely not face the brunt of this, because Fuzzy in this corner on his lonesome will not get cleared. The Fate Haunt won't scan him either. Does go down to Kizzy, but there are only 15 seconds left in this round. Kizzy finds a nice spam, a nice timing. Nope finds one as well, and it is all onto C's in this 1 versus 4. And stuck behind a smoke, we might be looking at a save.
Smoke starts to dissipate, and as they dissipate, we will be seeing C's 1v4 trying to fight this possibly. They do have some utility in hand, however, nothing to really write home about. Only a little bit in that flash, and they're already just peeking, prodding, trying to get something and fishing for the kill, not able to connect it just yet. And there's gonna be Casper coming on in, able to shut him down, and Eternal Focus Knight diminishing their opponent's economy, and the Employed is still going to be in a rough spot. They had this opportunity to come back into the grand finals after losing it down 13-7. However, despite that, they really haven't changed too much. Now they take the timeout, and we'll see. How do they adapt from it? Obviously, C's, they've been a pretty strong player, but this is not somebody who's been able to do it alone. We saw Hafi as well, who was that secondary really just kill finder for this team in their previous matchup when they went 16-12. And, you know, you always want to see them working hand in hand. However, right now, it doesn't seem to be happening as well as one would hope.
I am a little surprised to see the panic button be hit here for the timeout, as it's only 2-2, but clearly the coach just must have seen something that he didn't like, or maybe he was making some minor adjustment here or there. Maybe it's the way they're playing. Maybe there's a little tilt and they need to be talked to, but an early timeout could pay dividends for them if they are able to get a couple string of rounds. But nevertheless, I find it to be a bit odd. But if you look at the economy right now, Eternal Focus are in the driver's seat. They do have the overdrive onto Ghoul, so Ghoul might not opt to buy a weapon this round. Will do so, however, and Employed seem like they're going to have a hero rifle onto Fronto Pronto, rightfully so, as the ISO just has so much good utility to take duels. And I think if you're Employed, the correct decision here is to take air rebel control with your utility and then hold it with the hero rifle and then see what happens. But we have an absolute brawl coming in on our hands in the start of this round with 9 players being in this area. C's is jump spotting on C-Mount, but literally everybody else is here. And Wojo wants to get aggressive with the Stinger, rightfully so. Look at how close Wojo is. Fadehawk gets shot. And the Prowler scans the wrong person. They might not expect Wojo in this corner. The team paranoia is there, though, and Eternal don't like what they're seeing. I mean, rightfully so. You see 3-4 people's utility might just be the best option to walk away, as walking into that A Rebel could certainly be a death sentence as they start to head over towards the B site.
Coming on in, they're gonna have to worry about this breach from the side of Employed. We've seen Hafi doing God's work throughout some of these previous games, throughout some of these previous series, as they have full utility in hand besides that Rolling Thunder. However, the Sheriff might not be enough to secure those kills. Already, though, he definitely seems to be the hit inevitable. And yep, that's going to do it. Everyone's starting to plunge right on into the site off of that Rolling Thunder. And now the Employed forced to play a retake with C's going in first, Ghoul shutting him down. And now site's being taken.
And site has been taken on B, certainly, but they're set their sights on the C site. That's where they're planting. Quite a brave play, if I must say, but they do find isolation picks and notes. Has to be careful not to give away the gun, and he does. It is still a 4 versus 3 in the favor of Eternal, but now Employed have 2 Vandals to work with, and Polar and Ghoul are looking to take this fight to the front of it, and Front's product goes down. Hafi, with the picked up rifle, is able to find one, and Fuzzy evens it out, makes it a 2 versus 2, and right now Eternal have to worry a little bit. They do have it planted for C Mound, but there are smokes online for the Employed as they're gonna rush in, but certainly there's not enough time on the clock here. The Haunt does get shot, but Polar on this very strong side position will most likely be able to take both of them down, and Hafi will have to run for the hills, save his weapon, and Polar is most likely gonna die to this bomb. So even though it is an Eternal round win, the Employed made it very costly for them when they only had 1 Vandal and 4 Sheriffs invested. So while it wasn't a round win, it was still a good round for Employed, I'd say.
I think the Employed played that all right. I wouldn't call that a good round for them. Obviously, the economy advantage that they did have certainly made it strong. However, losing 3 in a row definitely does hurt, especially when Eternal Focus Knight didn't really have too much strain on their economy just yet. If you can win this one, then I might agree with you on that fact, but as of now, the Employed, they have some ults on the board, but this is where you got to make it count. Your economy is starting to be just a sliver of what it once was, with a lot of players down to 100, 200 credits, and the Employed, they got to make this happen.
Ghoul walking up on B. We know this is his prime time area, but it's Polar to get the job done on the Pronto. And Employed already a man down with no B control either, as two players are on both sides of the extremities. The breach, no, Hafi, sorry, is going to rotate over to B to make sure to have that space is closed off. But right now, Eternal are definitely in the driver's seat here. While A Rebel is definitely not in control, Casper, certainly just having this passive information is very important to keep two players stacked here. The shots might give away that it is just a lurk, but Ghoul sees Hafi but just gets one tapped. Hafi is just better in that scenario. And with the evener out, with the C presence being made, surely there will be a rotate towards the C side, but the Rebel players aren't convinced, and in all fairness, they are pretty deep, so rotating would take a while. Fake TB comes in from Polar, and the site is getting ready to be entered. Is full flash, has to pause a little bit, and Razor Eyes come out. And there's only 30 seconds in the round, so while they certainly can get the bomb down in that time, it might get a little tight if they're not careful. And it is C's and Hafi, two absolute players, to try to hold this off. And C's could just swing at the right time off of Hafi if he finds that information. C's could take any timing, pops the Steel Garden with none of these players being able to have any weapons, and I don't believe they bought anything other than their Vandals and Classics. So pushing here could be very well. Finds one on the Polar who's not even aware or looking. There is one backside, not might not be expected, but no, is able to get out of the Steel Garden. Rocket comes through, and Wojo is able to clean it up as the Employed are able to get a third on the board, and that was certainly cleaner than last round, as I think that was very well played.
The Employed played that really well, in my opinion. I think that just generally they didn't invest too much on holding out the C side, despite knowing that that was likely to be where Eternal focus would come in from. But a 4v3 situation is nothing to scoff at. However, the Employed knew that if they can play that man advantage, it should work. Especially when it comes down to it, C's was the real catalyst for that round. We saw Note lurking up into Link, and it led to C's just being able to shut them down and not allow any real activity to take place. If we look at how this game is played out in their previous matchup, there was a lot of diversity within the plans. However, the C site was definitely favored for Eternal Focus Knight, so we can kind of expect to see some pivots, especially after the amount of players have been revealed.
Yeah, kill contract comes through, does connect, so there will be a duel in the Gulag, but Pronto actually loses it to Ghoul. Very surprising, and Casper is able to find two on the round, which brings that 4 versus 3 to a 3 versus 2 in favor of Eternal. Hafi finds a good timing and is able to find the evener, and even spots Casper, as he most likely knows that both players are on this A site, and both of these Employed players are looking to play it together and walk up. And as they know the door is closed, they know no one can come from that direction unless it gets tapped again. Both players are actually far enough to avoid the Steel Garden, but it will do good to stall them out. But this does give them the time to tap this door, and Ghoul is going to get absolutely, both players actually are going to get absolutely rocked by this Rolling Thunder, and this Hafi with full util is going to dump everything, and Casper goes down to the Aftershock? And it is all onto Ghoul all of a sudden. 1 versus 2. Do they know where he is? The blind is there, could find the information. Walking up on C's, doesn't find anything, finds the headshot, but it's through the wall, and he's not able to find any value as Hafi comes huge in the round, finding 3 crucial picks that he needed for the team to get a 4th on the board. And I think that round was just all on Hafi, finding 3 kills and having full utility for that retake.
Yeah, Employed. You look at the stats and you would not expect this team to be one that is really good at playing the retakes. You look at the previous game, Lotus, no diffuses for them. You look at their previous game of Sunset, only 1. This team, you would not expect this from. However, this game, they've really been at least providing me a little bit of hope for them in this series. Despite losing it out 2-0 the first time, they definitely look like a new team, able to play their retake well. They're a very coordinated team now. They seem like they're a little bit more disciplined as well when it comes to not pushing out without the rest of their teammates.
Yeah, I mean, already doing better than they were last time against this matchup against Eternal, as they already have 4 rounds on the board on their defender's side, and attacking was their better half. So right now, things are looking promising. Right now, it is still a 5 versus 5 retake, as the bomb will go down onto B. Pinches could come through from Employed, as the Nightfall does come through, and it looks like Eternal are going to want to fight into heaven, as Polar finds one with the Bucky, and Kissy finds one with the Classic. and Ghoul with the hero rifle is able to find one. Full blind, can't do much, slides in, finds Fuzzy, and it is all on to C's once again. And this Eternal round, which didn't look very promising as they didn't have many guns, just comes through. And I mean, honestly, I like the play call of hitting B here, as the close quarters, they're able to make it work with that Bucky.
I definitely agree there. I think the close corners certainly do favor the Eternal Focus squad in that scenario, but it's not even just that. It's just the fact that the Employed kind of conceded that site before it really even was contested. And at a certain point, you got to imagine that these close range weapons, yeah, they're going to be advantageous. However, that doesn't mean that you can't still contest them. So if you can just take those long range fights while in B main, it can still work out relatively well for the Employed. However, they are going to be equalized. It's 4-4, definitely favoring the Employed so far with how attack side this is and how it is still equalized at 4-4. Even if you lose the rest of this half, the Employed definitely can come back, especially when you note the fact that they are running this double duelist position.
Now, once again, the Employed are going to take this aerial control and just leave Wojo there all on his lonesome to hold it. And honestly, I do like that call, as they can stack the rest of the map and Wojo can get out with those blast packs relatively easy. Maybe the Omen will be better, but I like Wojo there. He's a shooter. Let's not lie to ourselves. But right now, the entire team will be walking up onto C as Eternal have a lot of map control at the moment, with the Prowler clearing all these close quarters. It is making a lot of presence, but right now C's is the only person on the C site, and while we don't see it a lot from Eternal to send 3 players through a Vice wall without tripping it first, I think that gives a good advantage to Employed, as tripping that Vice wall will give the information that they need, as it's not like Eternal to just fully rush through a smoke and 3 people through that wall. But Casper is just holding a nasty off angle in his own spawn and finds an opener onto Fronto Pronto, giving Eternal a 5 versus 4 advantage. And honestly, if they play the time is severely low though, so C's could play a number. This door is tapped and they will decide to pivot B very last second. There are players here. There is the stun, there is the paranoia, and there are only 13 seconds left in the round. Hockey able to find one with the rifle, finds 2, does good work, but the bomb will most likely go down. But Wojo is able to find one with the Guardian, gets traded out by Casper though. And this time C's, once again, we see in this clutch, but it's a little more doable in that 1 versus 2 scenario.
All up the C's, not able to make it happen. No Kizzy up for a 3K, able to collect, and that's going to lead the Employed to be down after they had this advantage 4-3, being in that favorable scoreline. Now the Eternal Focus creeping up and taking back the lead. Let's see whether or not the Employed's going to be able to come back off of that. Obviously, not a whole ton of rounds remaining in the half. 1 ult orb off the Showstopper, which could be impactful. Wujo, definitely somebody who's been showing why they're on this team and showing how they provide the value. Pronto. I mean, I feel like this player is just being off to a rough start. And at a certain point, you got to cut him a break. They are filling in for some really high issues of Jay Wardion.
Instantly, Wojo finds the opener pick, has the Showstopper online, and is able to find a second, but will ultimately go down to the Aftershock. That is 2 Aftershock kills in this game, but no, just finds the 2-tap onto Fronto Pronto, and like you are saying, cut this man a break. He is just getting destroyed, even with the ISO shield, and it's just brutal to watch in all honesty. But it is still a 3 versus 2 for Employed, but Casper is able to find the opener onto Fuzzy, who his angle was just predicted right there, and C's is able to find one, predicts the double swing from Note, and C's closes out that round, finding 2 nice kills there. I mean, having the heads up awareness of just thinking about that other swing coming through is what won them that round for sure.
Sees an absolute nightmare on the battlefield, somebody who's been constantly on the front foot on this Vice pick. They've absolutely been one of the main heavy hitters for this team, and you really can't say it any other way than that. They always have been just somebody that you gotta look out for. You gotta make sure that you can shut them down before they get to a point where it's a little bit too difficult. And yeah, so currently the Employed are going to be able to come back, make it 5-5, but this aggression down B main could be volatile, especially with how the presence towards A Rebel is looking like.
I mean, if there's any way to get a player online, is to run a set play to get them a pick, but instead it's Fuzzy finding 2 quick kills on the A Rebel side. And while Fronto Pronto wasn't able to get any value out of that breach stun and ISO shield, Fuzzy just was able to make up for it, and Employed have a really good advantage and are looking to push this to 6-5 right now. But Eternal have all three of these players towards this BC area, but the question is, does he predict the corner of C's? And it looks like he's going to clear it, and he's just going to get one-tapped by Casper. Casper has had reads all game of where players are, and Ghoul, the spray is a little bit labored, but is able to find Fronto Pronto. I mean, still, this man is just not off to a hot start, but still, Eternal are doing better than they were, but Hafi's able to find the spam through the door, and it is all onto Ghoul, who only has 10 HP, and this flank is already coming in from Fuzzy, and this round is looking very bleak for Eternal. I think they spotted him out. They're going to send in the Aftershock, and Wojo's going to clean it up onto a 10 HP Ghoul, and that will be wraps as Employed get 6 on their defender sided, and right now it is looking very promising for them.
The Employed, this was not their map pick, nor was this the side they would like to start on. However, they are making it work. Eternal Focus Knight, they have a couple ults in the bank. They want to be able to equalize this at 6-6 on the half. However, the Employed is no slouches of their own in terms of the economy, and even has a little bit more money. So really, despite having that overdrive, Ghoul, once that runs out, once that diminishes, even if they do find a kill, they're going to be down a rifle.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's last round, so spend what you can, use what ults you have. But in all reality, Eternal are going to look to make an explosive into this map because they have the Steel Garden, they have the Breach ult, and they have the Neon ult. So it looks like it's going to be a slide dive play, and it's just going to happen into C Mound. They don't care about the sight hit. The shield's going to get popped. Boombot's going to get used. Oh my god, the kill contract is going to deny Ghoul from using his overdrive. And it's only going to leave him the Stinger in the Gulag. Wojo will go down to Polar as we're in the 4 versus 4. Fronto Pronto finally being able to come back online with a very crucial kill, as all 4 of these players from Eternal are stuck into Mound. And once again, we have this flank from Fuzzy that wasn't revealed in the last round, and it's not going to be watched for. The flash being held up by Note just walks out with utility in hand while they were going to clear it. Just a little bit carelessness as Eternal are headed towards this A site. And while C's will be here to greet them, will only be on his lonesome.
Already, the Employed walking over, and they're going to be able to halt this push before it gets onto the site. However, the Nightfall is there, the Steel Garden is there. All of this utility is going to be coming in, and let's see if they can find anything with it.
Yeah, both teams popping the Steel Gardens. Nightfall coming out from Eternal, but C's just winning the pistol battles as both teams don't have all their major guns, but the bomb is down in tree, and Pronto finds one. It's all into Hafi. He's stunned. No Kizzy's going to have to stick this bomb or take the fight. He's going to go for the stick in this scenario, but never mind. Hafi's just going to swing it, and he's going to take down No Kizzy as Employed get 7 on the board on their defender half, which is certainly a much better stat line than they had last game. And right now, they are on the attacking side, and they will be looking to convert map 1 and steal it away from Eternal.
And if you really considered, I think there's a good chance that we could see this series getting upset just off this map alone. I was thinking, you know, and the Employed, they might lose this. The Eternal Focus, they've been looking good on this map. They've seemed like the team that's going to be able to win this light-handedly. And you look at the experience that the Employed has on Pearl, this map number 2, we would be going to afterwards. Like, they won this in a very decisive fashion against Empire Vanguard of 13-5. Certainly a scoreline that you cannot take lightly. So realistically, the Employed, they came in with a substitute, taking out their old ISO player, putting in a new, and now the Employed, they look like a completely revitalized team.
Yeah, and if you look at it, it looks like it's all on the back of Hafi, while they do have another player that is positive. Hafi is +9, 13-4 with 7 assists, and Hafi is doing a lot of work for this Employed roster. And his impact cannot be understated, but Ghoul will get stunned up and will get taken down by Wojo. And Fronto Pronto will take down No, and right now, Employed are winning the A-Rebel battle. Polar's going to be able to get his one, but Fuzzy's going to trade it out. And right now, Employed have the 4 versus 2 advantage, and C's and Casper and Kizzy are going to have to do all of the work in this 4 versus 2 retake.
Spike planted.
Behind this smoke, it is not looking very promising, as Employed have all the time in the world to set up the crossfires that they want. Casper will swing this rubble area. Will trade shots with C's, none of them landing, but the information is there on where Casper is. Pronto's gonna swing, and Casper is just too aware. Sees his location known, also swings, but spots both players. So now they are both known. Jump spot coming through, paranoia coming through, and the stall is just too powerful. It had to all be on Casper, but C's is able to find two and gets the round for Employed, and that is another pistol, which they are winning. And right now, it looks like they will run away with this map 1 if they are not stopped.
Already 4 rounds in a row for the Employed. They've constantly been on the front foot. They're going to go for a similar buy to what we saw last game, or last half, sorry. There's a Ghost being bought for C's both times, and this is really good for them because it gives them a little bit of leeway. They allow one death to convert, and then they just pick up the rifle. Pronto back on that Marshall. We saw them on the last half as well, so certainly a player who's liking these snipers. However, on the attacking side, might not find as much value as when you're on the defensive terms. Already C's is going to be down. That is only a Ghost to convert. And, you know, the internal focus knight, they might try and pick that up, get a little bit of extra firepower, but they're going to go straight into a main.
Already, Eternal Focus are just pushing into the spawn area, but Hoppy once again is going to find 3, and Pronto is going to clean it up. And while they were only eco kills, that was very scary, as all of those players could have just been overwhelming, but Hoppy is just able to find the spray down in that round. And they have a good amount of guns saved. The 2 Bulldogs, the Guardian, the Spectre, and we do have the Sheriff coming out from Pronto as they decide to ditch the Marshal, but it looks like they might be buying into this round a little bit with 2 Outlaw purchases, which I think is very interesting. The other team does have 2 heavy armor players. Make that only 1. So now 4 of them are one shot to this Outlaw. So this buy could be very devastating if Eternal are not careful.
Hoffy's a player that has been so flexible. Within the last 2 days, we've seen them playing 3 different classes in this series. Already, Vault Line comes down from them, and Fuzzy's the one to capitalize. Eternal Focus Knight. They looked so good on this map in previous iterations, but unfortunately, the Employed, they've made changes. They've made adaptations, and now they are making double digits seem inevitable.
Yeah, Fuzzy able to find 2 kills with the lesser weapon, that Bulldog. I mean, at the end of the day, while it's not a one-shot kill, headshots certainly do help in the damage department. Casper pops all of the utility to slow them down. Hoppy gets spotted behind that wall, and he will get taken down by Casper with the Phantom. Full blind has to fall back. Pronto finds the trade onto Polar as he did kill Wojo, but we are still looking at a 3 versus 2 in favor of Employed. There could be a little bit of spam here. Pronto gets spotted out, but the Outlaw is just too strong onto these players with no armor. And Casper is left to do it all. Finds 3. It would have to be 1 more. And Casper is able to clean out the round, putting in the work for Eternal and giving them that revitalizing energy that they needed, because if they lost that round, I think we were looking at a map that was wraps. But Casper is just able to do it all for the team, finding 4 on the round and giving Eternal a lifeline they desperately needed.
Honestly, though, it is looking so good for them. I did not think they'd have that round. However, despite the disadvantage, despite what seemed to be an inevitable win, Eternal Focus Knight is coming back. They get the point down for the Employed, but off of that, it's just not enough. Casper on this insane work, able to convert everything. Isolating these picks is so good from them, and it's really just Casper making this team get back into this game.
Yeah, and Employed are able to buy up again, so that round loss wasn't necessarily devastating, but it's also not a loss you are willing to give up, as that was just a 1 versus 4 that could have been avoided. Wojo, on a full blinded note though, will be able to find the quick conversion kill. And Employed are looking to make their way as Pronto also takes down Ghoul, and Employed, after losing that round, are just looking to come back in swinging. No kills, he only has a judge, and I'm sure that nobody would be daring enough to push him, even though they don't have the information. I'm sure nobody would be pushing stairs, so that might not find any value. So it might all be down on Fuzzy if he so decided to flank, but it looks like they will all be coming from the CT and stairs area. So it is looking very good for Employed, but mark my words, we still have Casper alive, so do not count this team out. But around this corner of no killing, there will be the Omen. Judge comes through, actually finds the value, and Casper finds one as well. That Judge swing was audacious. But Casper is able to find a good pick. Polar with the Sheriff does get taken down, and we've seen 1 versus 3s from Casper before. Can he do it again? Can he find these 3 players? And I think the time is just too low this time. Full blinded comes through. Hoffy finds the kill and gets 3 of his own, as Employed get 10 on the board.
Double digits being reached. I thought Eternal Focus might have been able to show something, but maybe that was just a sign of light. But that little bit of life is not going to be enough. With Casper getting the clutch, it's not going to be that way for long. Eternal Focus Knight going to call a timeout, try and reorganize their structure. And yeah, it does look a little bit scattered. They've seemed in the past like a team that does go undefeated in these types of tournaments. But right now, the Employed definitely not going to give their chances up. They're going to take this chance in the grand finals, and they want to make this their own. They want to go up to Canada on June 22nd for that grand finals against the Canadian roster. And yeah, let's see if the Employed can make it happen, because to be honest, the Eternal Focus Knight, it's not seeming so good for him. Definitely a bleak matchup.
I mean, I might be glazing more than people glaze LeBron James on Instagram, but Hoffy's stat line just does the talking. Man has 19 kills, 6 deaths. That's over 3 KD, and he has 12 assists, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 3 assists less than the entire team of Eternal Focus. This man is doing all of the work with the utility, with the guns, with the aim, and he is doing it all for this roster right now. And it's not to say that his team isn't putting in the work either, as they are all doing pretty well, but right now Hoffy is just the main man of this show for Employed, and that's really the X factor that's been into this map 1, and the real reason that they're up 10-6. And right now we have Eternal fighting for this A-Rebel control once again, but Employed don't seem to care as they start to walk in this C direction.
Oh, already. Presence gets shown B main by the Prowler, going to be working up. We see A main as well being completely controlled by Eternal Focus Knight. However, the Employed not going to opt for either end. Instead, going to go straight on into the C site. Obviously, Eternal Focus Knight, Casper does have that Steel Garden that they can use to hold up the site. However, not anymore. There's the undercut, going to force them offline, and maybe they're going to want to drop it from here, but they're most likely going to wait until the rest of the team does show up and provide assistance.
Yeah, Wojo playing that good entry for the team, just absolutely sending it. Kill contract doesn't connect onto anyone, as Eternal are playing full retake onto the site, but they do have Ghoul flanking. But the read is here from Season. He's going to clear him, but the Stinger is just better from that range for some whatever reason. And now 3 players are looking in this flank direction, but Ghoul doesn't care. He's out of there. He's going to tap this door and create so many problems for this Employed roster. But right now, the time is starting to dwindle, and Eternal have to get going. Casper finds 1, Pronto finds 2, Note finds the trade, and it is a 2 versus 2, 2 versus 1. Note finds him, but somebody has to be on the bomb. Nobody's on the bomb. Hoffy gets Ghoul, gets the clutch, and it's 11-6 for Employed. Eternal had that round, it felt like, but nobody was on the bomb. Did they know who went down? But at the end of the day, that's round 11 for Employed, and Eternal have to save once again, as the hero rifle might be going on Ghoul, but it looks like just 5 sheriffs. I mean, this replay right here is brutal. As you can see, Note finds 2 crucial, but nobody's on the bomb, as Wojo is able to kill Casper, the designated diffuser, and Hoffy just cleans it up, even though time was on his favor. That was Raps.
Honestly, not sure how much I like that. I feel like when you really take a look at it, Casper probably should have gone for the yellow rifle, but instead there's Ghoul down. That's another playmaker who really needs to be on a high-end rifle, but Eternal Focus Knight, they're going to keep it alive. Happy's going to be able to get another kill after that clutch. They are on a tear, and now the Employed, 1 round away from match point, and it seems almost inevitable.
I mean, maybe a little insight to why Pronto's been having a rough game. Finds the opener, but the right-click jumping classic isn't necessarily the way you want to do it. But Fuzzy finds the one onto Note, and Hoffy finding another into this round 2, and Employed are up in this 3 versus 2. And while they do have the better weapons, maybe they didn't want to necessarily give up 2. It is their duelists, though. So at the end of the day, they still have a lot of utility online. Casper sees Fuzzy, a little bit of stray shots coming through, and breaks the flash. But right now, this crossfire from Employed is really strong as both players are coming for this direction, but Casper catches Fuzzy on the ropes, unaware, and it's a 2 versus 2. And while the weapons aren't the worst, the flash comes through. Poppy finds the spray down, and Casper could do all of the work himself. Is he aware of where this last player is? I think he is. Flash comes through, doesn't get shot, but sees, takes the swing, and full blind is able to kill Casper just before it comes through. And that is 12 for Employed, as they are looking so much better, and they are looking to take this map 1 in dominant fashion.
Yep, that's going to do it. Match point, doubling the rounds that Eternal Focus Knight has gathered. 4 ultimates for Eternal Focus Knight, a lot in the toolbox. However, it's going to be a big, tall task to order. You're going to have to really play retake here. Obviously, you can combo the Nightfall and Rolling Thunder relatively well. If you can get him concussed and without audio cues, it can really cause some detriments in your mentality and just kind of put some pressure over on the side of Eternal or on the side of Employed, sorry. However, I don't know. I feel like at this point, I don't love how they're playing this. It seems like just a rinse and repeat situation where they just keep playing for a main control. But we'll see if it does end up making some kind of difference. Obviously, Wojo is right over here, so maybe it's something that will end up being able to provide a little bit of dividends.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like a little bit of that rinse and repeat, and maybe it does just feel like they already have the mentality of GG go next. Right now, Ghoul is going to find this opener onto Wojo. Flash comes through. Ghoul is just stunned. There's no way this man should live this, but the counter Rolling Thunder comes through as well, so it's evenly traded, and Ghoul's able to escape with his life, very shockingly. Sees does have a little bit of control over towards B, but not daring to venture any further. Going to pop the Razor Vines, and Fuzzy also has a lot of C-mount control, so I really do like this pivot to go away from A Rebel, as they do have map control elsewhere. But once again, we might see Ghoul come in on this flank and find even more value, as it's been working in the past for getting at least one. The Nightfall comes through, all 4 players tagged, all 4 players have no audio, so Ghoul could just dash onto this flank if he so desires. But Fronto Pronto is going to be the front man into this site take, and with only 20 seconds left on the bomb, it will go down, but it will be a little bit dicey, as Ghoul not necessarily opting to go for this full flank and going to come with the team, but it is still a 5 versus 4 in favor of Eternal. And right now it is all onto these Employed players to close out the map if they so desire. Hoppy, been good, gets taken down by Note through the wall. Fuzzy finds the spray onto Kizzy and finds not Casper, as Casper's able to get 2 out of nowhere and sees 1 versus 2. Could close out the map for his team, but the bomb is being stuck by Note, and Polar is able to get the cleanup onto him, and we're at 12-7. And while it's not anything close to being at 12 rounds, it is still a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I mean, with the economy not really there for the Employed either, it definitely seems like an 8th round should be on the cards, but obviously we've seen it time and time again. Games can go in and out for either team. It never can be decided just this simply by the economy. You could be down and it will switch. 5 stingers, and we can see the Employed taking a page out of Eternal Focus's book and utilizing these low-range weapons in B main. They're going to want to try and gather this site, possibly even make the same play exactly to the cards and go for that C pivot, but already Showstopper gets cut down.
Oh my goodness, no Kizzy with the judge. Certainly not expected by Wojo to have that Polar audacious swing coming through, and Eternal somehow all of a sudden just have all 5 members on this B site. Maybe it was a read, maybe it was information they had, but at the end of the day, they clean it up, and Fuzzy is good for one with the Sheriff, finding that headshot, but there's still 3 more to find in this round. Is able to pick up the Vandal. Kuronami, very nice skin. Sheriff finds a really good spam damage, maybe almost a kill if that was a little bit higher, but there are still 3 players and they have all of this bomb control. And with only 4 ultimate points, there's really no way for Fuzzy to try to get this bomb with an ultimate if he wanted to. And right now, the round is slowed down to a halt. There's still 40 seconds, still time to play with, but with Ghoul holding this, Ghoul falling off the angle, Fuzzy might have a really good timing here. Might be able to find one onto Ghoul here if he's not aware, if he doesn't consider the timing. Gets spotted, but Ghoul just finds the snap onto Fuzzy. And we have 8 on the board for Eternal as Employed. The door is opening even more for Eternal right now. And right now, Employed have to put on the afterburner just to close this out.
It definitely seems a little bit more manageable. After 2 rounds in a row, the economy definitely there for Eternal Focus Knight, and the Employed, they got some ults in the bank, they got the money ready Fronto Pronto's been really good when it comes to their ultimates, especially when it comes to picking off the correct player. We saw them do it with Gull earlier when they had that overdrive. Now the question is, can they make it happen again? You're going to want to isolate a target that has their ultimate up, that being either that Vice or Omen, both with that from the shadows. A little bit less of an impactful ultimate, but this is not the player you really want. But they still find a kill, they still get the value. Wojo as well gets another.
The Rolling Thunder comes through for the side of Employed, stunning up the entire team, and Fuzzy is able to TP out with the ultimate, and No Kizzy finds one to get the round in a little bit back, and Casper finds a second, evening it out. And while it did look a little desperate for Eternal, they are able to find 2 evening picks to make it even, and Polar finds a third, and right now it looks like Employed are throwing a little bit, or maybe Eternal are just landing the shots that they need, giving away the ones, and C's did consider Casper's position, but with this retake of the angle, is going to find a head dink through the wall, is going to find good damage onto both players, but no kills given. And with both Employed players being very low, this round is somehow back in Eternal's favor after being down 5 versus 3, after getting util dumped, after getting ultimate dumped. They've brought this back with their raw aim, and that is one of the strengths of both of these rosters. But this round, Eternal's guns are just ringing a little more truer. Pronto clearing a lot of this space by himself. Will come to Polar eventually, but the question is who will come out on top. This duel could decide this round, and Polar finds the kill, and it is over for Employed. C's could do some work, could do some damage, but 14 seconds in the round, Casper finds the last one, and that is wraps for this one. While it looked like that was map over, somehow the 3 players of Eternal bring back that 2-player deficit. Quite impressive.
Eternal focus certainly seeming to make this game more competitive than at first glance. They've already taken 3 in a row. This is your time, the Employed. If you don't make it work here, you've already expended a lot of ultimates. Casper, however, they do have that ultimate online, so it is interesting seeing 4 stingers being invested instead of going for those sheriffs. Just because it's not too... Yep, there's another one. Seems like there was a little bit of insight, especially when we see Wojo, who is a shorty as well. They're all kind of preparing for it. Cheer will not be able to be broken by that. And yeah, despite a little bit of utility, the Eternal Focus Knight is going to be able to hold him out of sight for at least a little bit with that sheer. And they're not going to contest. The Employed, they get onto site, and now the question is, can they conclude it from here? This definitely seems like a situation that they can win out, but who knows?
I'm a little scared for how far these Employed players are pushing. While they do have the stingers, look, take the fight to them. No Kizzy just kills full blinded players, and Hafi is good for 1, but at the end of the day, the retake and the better weapons are just too strong for Eternal. But I think while Employed did have the sight, I think pushing out into CT there was a little bit, not a little bit, a lot of bit of an overextension, because they took the long range fight with the stingers, and all 3 of them just ate a flash, and that was all she wrote for that round. And I mean, I feel like if they would have just sat back sight, if they maybe even could have played in some smokes, it could have been better. But I think that was a bit of a misplay from Employed.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't great. That's to say the least. We'll see whether or not the Employed is going to be able to change something. But at this point, the momentum definitely not turning in their favor. The Eternal Focus Knight, they have the ultimates online. They have the ability to close this game out. The question is, can they pull out the rabbit out of the hat? Take 6 rounds in a row and bring this to overtime. An absolute absurd masterclass performance to do that. It seems if it's definitely possible. Already, Thorn's going to go up before that Pain Scales connect, so definitely some good insight to bring him out. And there's Eternal Focus Knight locking off of the site, looking to just play a retake. And with the amount of utility they have for it, it definitely seems more than possible.
Employed just going for the C hit once again, and this time they're met with no resistance, but 2 ultimates on the side of Eternal. That Nightfall and the Steel Garden could do a lot of damage, and already we see Employed just rotating off the C site. They had 4 players there, and they are just willing to give it up entirely. They do have that lurk from the Omen and the Vice, sure, but it seems like we might see a pivot into A. And this position from C's might just be unexpected. I mean, oh, the flash is going to give it away, though. Is going to get hit by the Nightfall. The Steel Garden will drop. Will certainly push some players back, but Ghoul finds Pronto, and Eternal are looking to get another round on the board with the man advantage. But the flank from Fuzzy is just too strong as he finds two, and Wojo finds another. Polar evens it out just ever so slightly, but right now it is a 3 versus 2 for the Employed. They have the advantage. They are in the driver's seat. The bomb gets tapped, but their bluff is being called. Employed aren't swinging. Fuzzy gets killed by No Kizzy, and right now Eternal have come back a little bit. He could be on the bomb, could not be. Paranoia stops that audio cue, but he finds the kill. But the question is, who comes out top on this 1 versus 1? Polar, low HP, has to find C's playing for the time, jumping right click classic, and Employed take the game as the comeback was untrue, and we see a 13-10 victory for Employed. Quite the first map, in all honesty. I mean, fake comeback, sure, but that was still a banger.
That last round of the game, certainly one of, if not my favorite rounds of Valorant I've personally got to witness this year, and I'm breathless because of it. It was absolutely insane. We saw the C site get attacked very, very early, taking complete advantage, activating the shear wall, getting the Omen onto site. It seemed as if it was inevitable that they go for it. Everyone rotates. This was something that we noted from a couple rounds before. They always hard rotate when it comes to that C site. They know they need to play retake, so they already go for it. Now, they've figured this out, and it was just 100 IQ play. We're going to rotate through door. They take the revolving door, however, they leave that Omen behind. Leaving him behind leaves them with an extra flanking option, let alone C's, who's already on that A site, taking B as well, just making so much space for them. And when they know that B site is completely empty, that leaves C's to just clear the path for A. And with nobody on that B site or A site, it allows them to make a complete 180 across the world, moving over to the A site, taking the A site, and even losing that first blood. It became a 4v5. However, this is what happens when you allow a team to just rotate through the map, play the entire map. It gives you a situation where you have to worry about everything. We see it here. Fuzzy, who went on that flank, allowed to get, I believe it was like 3 kills or something insane, to be able to take that man advantage back in their hands. And honestly, an absolute domination came through on that last round. It was completely insane, especially towards the end when we saw that 1v2 situation going out with a classic to the body. Insane. And honestly, I gotta give it there. The Employed certainly played a great game of Valorant, able to take the map.
And I know I was criticizing C's before for giving away his position, but when C's is the lurker and the flanker that gives away his spot, you don't expect a second, which was in Fuzzy. So honestly, giving away his position, they're like, the lurker is here. They don't expect a second, and that is the decider that wins them that round, as Fuzzy is able to get 2 in the back, and the time is just too low. Do you know what I mean? Still, at the end of the day, look at these score lines. We have Casper and Hoffy putting in the work for both of their teams. 2 absolute shooters coming into this game. And I mean, honestly, what a map 1. I'm not a hater on Employed, but I'm hoping we go to 3 maps.
I think 3 maps is definitely likely. I think that there was a little bit of a slow start there for that Eternal Focus squad. They gave up a little bit too much momentum, especially towards the middle of that first half. When they went down 7-5, it is just a bit of a tragedy. And it comes down to really just the fact that both pistols were won by the Employed squad. It gives you a bit of confidence. It gives you a bit of momentum. Sure, they weren't able to convert either of the bonuses, making a massive lead off of that. However, going out to Pearl, I believe we're going to see a 2-0. I genuinely think, unless something is completely absurd, the way that we saw this team picking up Pearl and just being able to maneuver across all the sites, it really seemed as if yesterday's game is probably going to correlate into today. A 13-5, especially with this new player, was seen yesterday. Or, sorry, without the new player was seen yesterday. So bringing them in, I cannot even imagine how this is going to go. I'm going to guess 13-8, 13-7, but I would like to see Haven. I just don't think with what we've seen so far, it's going to happen. I mean, Eternal Focus looked good, don't get me wrong, but just the way that they were playing the games, mostly relying on clutches from their breach or a Vice to really be able to secure rounds, it seems as if you were most likely going to be getting that game 2 in favor of the Employed.
Yeah, and when these teams face each other in the upper finals, we didn't get to see the Pearl as it was the decider map, and it went 2-0 in the favor of Eternal, but we get to see it here, and already we have Pronto locking in the ISO once again. And I mean, that is just an agent that can take over the game. And while he didn't necessarily take over in map 1, we could certainly see it in map 2. But we see the Neon coming out from Ghoul again. Very good pick. And Polar is hovering over this Yoru right here, which could be a very interesting double duelist comp. And I think both teams could run this very well. And I mean, honestly, I'd expect to see Astra from Eternal Focus as well onto No Kizzy, but at the end of the day, the rosters are the rosters, and I think we're in for a very tight map 2. And I think it could be 2-0, it could be 1-1, and we could go to map 3. But I think this Pearl map, both teams are very comfortable with, and I expect for it to be close.
I definitely agree with you on that one. I think that it's certainly an interesting composition coming up from the Employed, keeping Pronto on the ISO, getting that jet back online from Wojavo. Wojavo, they've been a good player. I think that they were a little bit underwhelming for a substitute coming in. You'd expect them to be able to drop that 30, but we will see how this does go. Anyways, Jet, a new pick, gonna be really good at locking down that B site, especially with the operator. I'm just excited to see how this does play out.
Yeah, chat, I don't know what happened, but all I saw was the timer hit 0, No Kizzy not select an agent, and the screen went back to the Pearl map. So I don't know if we're going to be playing this map instantly, if an agent wasn't picked, but hopefully we can get it running really soon. But who knows what actually happened. I think because we saw No Kizzy play Fade in that last map, and we saw Note pick it in this one. So maybe No Kizzy just got a little bit tilted and wanting that Fade roll. I mean, that's only an assumption, but I mean, he was doing pretty good on that roll. So maybe he just like, no on that one, but we'll see what happens soon.
Yeah, definitely going to be a difficult game to conclude, to be able to find the win with if you are either team. Because at this point, the pressure's on you. This is the grand finals. Winner here takes it all. Loser goes home. I'm sure there's probably some type of second prize prizing. Couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but we'll get back on into the bans right about now. Seeming as if a Yoru might even be in the mix.
I think I was right. I see No Kizzy hovering the Fade. I think there was a miscommunication between who was picking what, but I think No Kizzy is going back on that comfort roll. But oh, he didn't load in. No, thank you. Producer just said, I don't know if you guys heard it, but he didn't load in. But it seems like we should be all good to go for this one, hopefully, as long as the guy on my, yes, we have the Astra locked in for Note, and we are a good to go for this map 2 once everybody locks. And right now, both these comps, we already said it, but looking good. We got the Vice, we got the Astra, and we got the Fade mirrors. And the only difference is these two duelists in Jet and ISO, and Yoru and Neon. And both of these comps are equally capable of dealing damage in their own ways.
I'm liking this a lot. I think it's interesting seeing that double Astra get locked. And besides that, very simple, very average compositions. A little bit odd seeing both teams locking in that double duelist, especially the ISO. Eternal Focus Knight looking to go for a little bit more of a just simpler approach and just we're gonna run it down, possibly, with that gate crash being a big tool to really help just kind of separate the just eyes of your opponents. You're gonna have to watch multiple places at the same time. You fake TP, gonna have to at least guide your attention for a couple seconds if you are on this defensive squad. But the Employed, this is going to be difficult to hold out on, especially when it comes to that decoy, able to trip some of those fuzzies utility relatively easily. So I think that it's going to be difficult, but I definitely don't think it's a unwinnable defensive half. Pronto going to be on that ISO especially. This is a team that really is going to be able to lock down a lot of this A and B site. So what's really worrying to me, at least, is how they're going to approach the mid. Do they go to opt and put their Vice and take the utility over there, or are they just going to want to put that in A as a pretty simple regarded idea?
I think that is a good question that will be answered in this map on how these teams do decide to approach mid, as both teams will be equally strong on the extremities with their double duelist and very strong initiator with the Fade comp. And I mean, at the end of the day, mid might just be the name of the game, but who knows? maybe Employed with that ISO just decide to run it down B long. But already we have the attacking side of Eternal headed in this B and mid direction, as Employed have a lot of aggression towards A, but they find nothing as they smoke it off and take the space for themselves, and Eternal aren't even aware of it. Jump spotting from Hafi isn't going to spot anything. Spots a player, spots two. And right now, Pronto here's the rest of the team coming his direction. Finds one, gets traded out by Kizzy. And Casper coming down long with his teammate. They're able to find Hafi, who was stuck alone back halls, and it is a 4 versus 3 for Eternal. And right now, they're looking to take a pistol round because they haven't gotten one all series. And if there is a time to get one, it is now, to not face a loss in this grand final. Wojo being the front of the force for his team. Haunt comes through, clearing everything that he can as one man, dashes into halls, gets taken down by no Kizzy. Sees, finds the trade with the right click, and Ghoul is desperately low. Right click, first one not landing, second one does. Fuzzy finds one, and both of these players are at this pillar direction. Knife out though, not able to find anything. Fuzzy swings up top, not able to find anything. The suck comes through, and right now Fuzzy has to find these 2 kills, but Note gets 2 headshots and cleans out this pistol round for Eternal Focus. And already a better start than they had than map 1, getting their first pistol round on the board.
Yeah, they definitely did look a lot better. They ended up the round with 2 players remaining, and certainly looked good while doing it. Never really seemed like the Employed had too much of a chance to get back onto the site. Played a really good just kind of defensive hold, and the Employed, they managed to get back on eventually, so you got to give them props where props are due. However, the Eternal Focus Knight, definitely not a team to mess with, and now they're going to be coming into the next round with heavy artillery, 3 rifles in hand, 1 stinger as well. Same thing as what the Employed was diverging into, where they would run that single pistol. However, Wojoval already going to be taking the front of this damage.
Yeah, finds the information of the players being there, knows there's at least 2 in that direction, and does trade a shot with the Sheriff, not landing it, but is able to dash out. So no harm, no foul. But sees, takes a little bit of damage as his shoulder was spotted around the corner, and right now Eternal have very good art control towards A, and sees is on the other side of this smoke, but he has no idea what is there, as Eternal are rotating in the opposite direction. And Employed right now are still in their very default spread, but it seems like Eternal are headed towards this A, as they will be splitting the A site. And all 5 players are converging on this position, and right now Employed seem to have the incorrect read. Maybe it's not necessarily incorrect, but maybe it's just the crossfires they have, they want to hold them, and they're just gambling incorrectly. With even C's leaving to go 5 stack onto B, this H site is just wide open. He will double back as he hears all of the utility coming down from the Astra. But at the end of the day, this is a free bomb plant for Eternal, and a 5 versus 5 retake that is heavily favoring Eternal.
Eternal Focus Knight already, site is held. We see the Yoru on the work. However, nobody to really be matching them. The Employed are really going in for this CT hold. There's going to be the eye coming in and won't be able to find too much. Fear is going to be not seen on too many players. However, one does get spotted on.
Pronto with the opener, Ghoul with the trade, finds a second onto Wojo with the heavier weaponry, is able to find 3 on the round, pulls the dash out, doesn't know what to do, no bullets in hand, 2 versus 2, but the suck is going to stall enough time as Pronto and C's both go down to Eternal. And that round got a little dicey at the end with the Sheriff shots landing from Employed, but in the end, thankfully, Eternal are able to close it out as they get 2 on the board.
Eternal Focus Knight able to bring it back despite having that gun advantage. It was a little bit close, and 3 bodies did drop. I was honestly surprised. Employed, it didn't seem like they had too much of a way back onto the site with all 5 players coming in from CT or Garden, and despite that, the Flowers did not really hold up too much profit. However, being able to come in from CT really did allow some of those players to get big, especially with C's there. Ghoul as well, though, was that real factor that allowed that win to go down into the hands of Eternal Focus. And then through mid-round, we're already seeing C's back onto a great position with Wojoval already coming in hot.
Yeah, absolutely crazy work from Ghoul, just dashing in on B mid, full blind, by the way. Like, he could not see a damn thing, and he still almost gets the conversion kill, but he goes down to the better weaponry and luckily for Employed, they didn't lose any members in that, as Wojo was able to clean up and not allow the trade to come through. But right now, Eternal are 3-man walking through spawn. Wojo is watching for it, and he's going to find one with the Guardian, putting on his Demon 1 cosplay, but No is able to get the trade. And all 2 of these positions are known, as Employed are looking to just crunch on them and contain them to this area, and it is not looking well for them. Seeds taking an advantageous position, finds one onto No, and it is all onto Casper, as he has so much map control to cover. I mean, you look at this. They have Fronto all the way up B long. Fuzzy has all this A main control, and mid is being covered as well. So right now, Casper doesn't have anything to work with. He does find the pick onto Hoppy though, so his position will be known. And right now, he might get the bomb down, but I think Fuzzy just has the advantage here, swinging onto this, and he will find the headshot and the body shot to pick up the kill onto Casper. And Employed get their clap back that they needed, and we see a very standard 1-2 scoreline. Nothing out of the ordinary.
A little bit uncommon to see 2 players alive in a round like that. However, and in terms of the round differential, it's just going to be pretty normal, with both teams just able to put up the rounds they should win. Nobody going for any crazy investments. Obviously, the 5-manning from the Employed on the B site didn't really turn out too well for them on that second round. However, it's already it's all right. It's not too bad. Eternal Focus Knight, they do have a couple ultimates on the board with that looking to be the B site. Obviously, the Cosmic Divide can be really impactful here, especially, and they're going to get a little bit of damage as well. Fronto finds one, though, and Polar down. Polar's a strong player that you don't want to be able to go into a site without. However, with this Cosmic Divide, they should be able to take it practically for free.
Honestly, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen Pronto pop that shield yet. And with the engagement that he took right there, maybe it would be better if he had that jet pick on him so he'd be able to dash out there. But at the end of the day, it is still a 1-for-1 trade. The Nightfall will come through, and it tags all 4 players, as all 4 of their positions are noted. And the rest of the map is just Employeds, because they know where these 4 players are. They have this flank coming through on Wojo, and the map is just theirs. And sure, Eternal can fight out of this if they so desire, but at the end of the day, they're stuck. And one goes down to Fuzzy as well, as he gets the kill from CT. And right now, things are looking bleak for Eternal with only 30 seconds left on the board. This flank is not coming in. They are watching for it, sure, but it is keeping them contained. Hoppy doesn't have a kill to his name yet in this game, but is looking to find a spam. Not able to get it. Fuzzy, though, in this smoke, maybe not expected. Could find a good timing here. Swings, finds one, finds 2. The spray transfer comes through, and Hoppy cleans it up, getting his kill. And Employed get a second on the board, which I think was not necessarily a masterfully played round, but the Nightfall tagging onto all 4 players just called it quits there.
Yeah, this is definitely showing why the Employed did pick this map. This is certainly a map that you don't want to face them off because of how good they are looking here. Honestly, I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. This roster of the Employed, they have been looking like a completely different team. They push out the smokes, and honestly, Wojavat, they were playing that perfectly. They did not peek. They did not give any options for Eternal Focus Knight to be able to get out of that pincer. As you said, they just held that. And they held the flank to make sure that their opponents had to respect it. And if they don't respect it, they walk into that firing squad. Eternal Focus Knight coming the next round, trying to play for mid-possession. However, it's just not going to be there at all.
Coffee finding 2 with the Phantom, 1 with the headshot, and 1 with the spam. Absolutely disgusting work, but when you have a Phantom in hand, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. And right now, these 3 players once again are looking to find this mid-control, but Casper finds the headshot with the Sheriff. No Kizzy finds one as well, so that could be 2 weapons recovered. We see the Phantom on No Kizzy, and I expect to see Casper with a weapon as well. Employed still do have this advantage, but if Eternal are able to find an opening pick, we do have this Nightfall available for them, which could spell disaster for Employed if they're not careful. And oh, this wrap could be dangerous. They're clearing out CT. They know nobody will be coming from this direction, and the bomb isn't necessarily planted for them, but they could walk in the right direction and find it. Sees will be clearing out this corner. Casper, no weapon to his name, but no Kizzy finds one. Could use the Nightfall if he wants to. Had it in hand, decides not. But Seas is just a little bit stronger and finds the 2 kills on the board, closing out this round for Employed and giving them 3.
that's gonna do it. The Employed, despite losing out on the pistol in the second round, they've come back and they've made this game their own, taking 3 in a row, really just putting up those numbers. And honestly, on the defensive half, you'd imagine that they'd be in a little bit of a weaker position with how attacking sided this map can be, especially when running this double duelist composition that they are so familiar with. However, both of their duels really have been taking a back seat, not really picking up the front load of the kills. That's mostly been C's, who's been that real star player for this team. And we look at back at previous iterations of the roster, C's, they haven't been the greatest player. In the past match when they played this yesterday, 7 and 9 and 7 assists when they were on this fade, on this Pearl. It's really seeming like this team is just being a completely new roster, especially with just making these substitutions. I'm not sure which one's the main player, which one's the off player. Maybe they're just kind of going back and back, hand for hand. But really, it seems like this team very different. Not even very much worse, but they just look like a different roster entirely, with how they seem a little bit more structured, a little bit more disciplined. And coming into round number 6, you're going to expect them to be a little bit better. And you kind of can see it with how they're not really playing too aggressive, and instead they're just playing for the extremities, making sure they don't give anything.
And even though it is just a 1-for-1 player difference, this roster is already looking so much better than the first time they played Eternal in the upper finals. Nightfall does come through. You look clear at the site. Nobody there. Pronto has the kill contract, but his shield gets popped before he is able to use it. So he might go down here to Polar, and he does. Polar finds his kill. Wojo finds 3! How does he do that? All of a sudden, he clicks 3 heads, and Eternal only have 2 players left. No, able to find a trade, but it's still down bad as Wojo just single-handedly tore apart that round. And C's finds a spam through the smoke. It is already wraps, and I don't even know what happened, but Wojo just takes a swing. Dink, dink, dink. 3 kills, and with only 7 seconds left in the round, it is just over. Hats off to Wojo for that one.
Certainly putting the nail in the coffin, making sure this round is their own. Internal Focus Knight going to be able to save 1 rifle away, but the Employed has taken double the rounds that the Eternal Focus Knight have, and their economy is showing that. Timeout comes through, they might have this rifle be able to get a decent playoff, but it's not looking good for them. And it really has been Wojo on that last round that really just came alive for this team. I was given a little bit of diss, not gonna lie. I was saying that I didn't think that these duels were really putting up as much of an effort as some of these other players, like C's, like Fuzzy. However, Wojo certainly making me eat my words, putting up a triple kill, really just shutting down the Eternal Focus squad. 3 ultimates for him, but none of them got popped that round, and it really was just due to Wojo, able to shut him down before it even happened. The Employed, this is their map pick. This is their time to win. And it seems as if it's really showing that they are going to be these grand champions, making their way up and winning out this game, despite the lower bracket run, despite everything they've had to go through. It seems as if this team is going to win. They won this 13-5 in their previous matchup against the 3rd place team. And it wasn't close. It wasn't. It was very much in favor of the Employed. And honestly, I'm not sure whether or not I think that the Eternal Focus can do it, because they're playing the exact same composition as what the Empire Vanguard ran. It's line for line, same picks and all. So really, the Employed not only has experience playing this team, but experience playing this composition.
I would like to give a quick shout out to Noxy in the Twitch chat. Every single round hyping up Wojo, and it seems to have paid off dividends in that one. Right now, we do have a lot of A main battling from Employed coming through with 3 players invested in that direction, and Casper will be able to spot all of this out, but most likely will not commit to anything dire. We do have, however, all these players coming in from Art, and this space control, while they do have the lesser weapons, could find a pinch if Employed are not careful. And at the end of the day, they do have the better weapons. They are expected to win, but do not put it beyond either of these teams to find something they might not get. But C's finds that pick onto Casper, who was lurking in A main, and after getting that kill, I think that Employed should be rotating off of A. But look at this. Look at the spawn. Look at where this man is. Look at that fade in the spawn. Kizzy is just on the god flank, but there might not be anybody to greet him, as Employed are going on a walkabouts of their own. They're going to be running down
30
Polar here,
seconds left.
trying to chase him down. Vice Wall will certainly stop them though. And look at the map. You'd think the attackers are defenders, the defenders are attackers, and right now Eternal Focus are looking like they're on a defensive default. What is happening?
planted.
Look at this mid area. The defenders, 3 there, 3 onto B, and this round is just entirely flipped on its head, and I could not tell you how it happened.
I mean, we look at this and already Eternal Focus with their Yoru holding the wrong angle. They're not going to be able to spot anybody. And really, it's going to be difficult for them to find any value. No Kizzy running through the wall, and they're going to be in a bad spot too.
And Fuzzy finds 2 quick kills. Polar trying to find an exit frag, and does. And this wrap does look like it is wrapped up nicely in a bow tie as School puts on surely what is the finisher. Overdrive comes through though. Maybe it's actually a bit tighter, but the time is just too low as Employed are not sticking the bomb, and there is no time. And that was a round that was a little too close for my liking. I honestly thought Eternal should have had that one in the books, write it down, but at the end of the day, it's still a round win for them. I don't know how it got that close. I don't know why we had to invest the ultimate from Ghoul, but that's what happened.
Yeah, I think that investment really did seal the deal because you can't really ignore it. You have to get off the bomb for that because if you're not moving, it gets very difficult to deal with. And yeah, the Employed, they are going to lose 1. However, they did steal a lot of rounds away. So the Employed, they are going to only be up 1 at this point. Eternal Focus Knight, definitely not an unwinnable position. Off of that last round, though, it was really close. Eternal Focus Knight, they're going to have some economy in their bank. Obviously, that last round was a pretty good round for them. But off of this one, they should be able to win this too.
I'm back.
Yeah, Polar coming in with the dimensional drift. Players at his every moment. Hafi finds 2 with the judge. I don't know how this man continues to pull it off, but he does. And he picks up the better gun and finds 3 into the round, finds 4 on the Casper. And Wojo, his team surely going to be waiting for him. And Hafi gets 5. He used 3 different weapons, 2 with the judge, 2 with the Vandal, and 1 with the classic. This man is playing gun game.
That was a absolute obliteration, just showing how Hafi can be the GOAT despite the insane investment from the side of Eternal Focus, bringing in not 1, not 2, actually, yes, 2 ultimates into that round. They still were just unable to make anything, and they also spent a ton of money looking to gamble on that round. However, now they're down to just sidearms, reduced and reducted, and now the Employed are back up looking to get 6 rounds and a half, and they're going to be able to do it, not going to lie.
Who knows, maybe the Eternal hit their share of shots this round, but already it's looking bleak as Pronto finds 1 with the Outlaw and almost finds a second on the Ghoul, but Wojo is just there for the bait and switch, the yank and pull, and all 3 of these players with sheriffs are just in middle, sitting, waiting to be handed to them on a silver platter, but no Kizzy and Note are handed 2 kills of their own as a little bit of an overextension comes out from Employed. Pronto looking to retake this angle and will have good information for his own team. But right now, both of these players from Eternal Focus look like they will get some upgrades. No, not necessarily getting one, but we still do have one for the Fade. And they are just looking to probably come back around B here, which the round does slow down with only 40 seconds left, but anything could happen in this one. But it does look like all these players from Employed are already headed in this direction as the flank from A is clearing out all of this space. And sure, there might be there's not a gap in A actually, because the Vice Wall is covering Art as well. So they are dead sure that this hit is coming into B. And if they aren't prepared for this, I don't know what else to say. But at the end of the day, these 2 players have a storm waiting for them. As Pronto finds 1, but Kizzy is just better. Poppy in this corner, though, he's not expected. How do you expect it? Full running gun is just playing his time, playing for his life, and finds no Kizzy as they get 6 on the board. And well played end game for Employed there. While it was a little tight, the flank from Fuzzy just secured that round for them, and the time was just well played on the side of Poppy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I really liked that from the Eternal Focus Night Squad. They were put into a 2v3, and just instead of like trying to upgrade rifles by going into B-Link, they just kind of like went back and headed for main. Obviously, you'd assume there's more people starting to rally towards the link, but I feel like in any case, when you have these sheriffs, you should be taking closer engagement battles like what you would see in that link. Wojo, though, finding that opening, and they're going to go for more, but Polar on this angle, not getting anything. No Kizzy's going to have different luck, finding one, finding a second. Note's getting one as well to equalize, and Turtle Focus Knight might possibly be able to pick up another round.
I think Employed should have absolutely won that brawl there, as they did have the upper hand, getting the opening pick, but I'm not sure whether to call it an overextension or not, but the bodies just fall as No Kizzy and Note are able to find 3 there, and while I don't think it was necessarily an overextension, it was just missed shots, as the side of Eternal Focus are able to land theirs, and Casper has a dirty flank into here. The other team is aware of if he did want to go through spawn, and this bomb will go down on the B site, and I think right now we are looking at a very heavily sided Eternal round, as they have the bomb planted for long, and both of these players from Employed are in no position to retake that quickly.
It's not going to be quick, but I don't like how this is playing out, as we do see the fade over towards B main. This is going to leave Wujob with, oh, never mind, they switched to a Vandal. So it's going to be a little bit weaker of them to be able to find something. However, you are going to be able to cut this off with that Cosmic Glide. Right, there's the Nightfall coming out, able to dodge out on it pretty easily, but you wouldn't even get the sound cues either way. Wojak going to be hit by the Seas, and at this point, that link is going to start being capitalized on. 1, maybe 2. There it is, Kizzy able to pick up a triple kill, and the Employed securing 6 will not be able to take this half just yet. A 4th goes down for Eternal Focus Knight.
I do like the use of the Astral Divide there, but at the end of the day, they were just a little bit slow, and while they did definitely have a little bit of time on their hands, the C's coming out from No Kizzy was just too powerful, and it just stalled them for at least 6 seconds, which really closed out that round for them. And while the Nightfall was definitely helpful, it was really that piece of utility that sold it, and Casper wasn't expected on that flanking area either. And right now, Eternal are looking to take this A main control, which what feels like in Forever, Eternal are not fighting for this space themselves. They do have the Vice here, so there definitely can be some slowdown, but the rotations would definitely be a lot slow from Employed.
Fuzzy not getting spotted out. Still just biding their time, waiting. Not getting spin by the Haunt either. There's the Seas as well coming in. Polar on site, looking to try and find this shot, and they will be able to get it. The judge is aggressive and strong, but Fuzzy on site, bringing in the Steel Garden, able to get 1, nothing more. The Employed going down into a 3v4, however, able to capture 1 in the ISO domain expansion, and Pronto not going to be able to find anything off of it. Hoffy, though, capitalizing on that body, now securing it. But a 1v3 situation, a little bit unwinnable.
That was disgusting work from Kizzy to win that Ice Ultimate, but definitely a lot of whiffage coming out from Pronto, and I expect Hoffy to not go for this, as he only is 1 shot to any Vandals. Will bait out the suck, and I think at this point it is just over. They do have money to buy into the next round, so I guess they'll just save it at the end of the day. I mean, it's a lost round, and Casper might die to the bomb here, so maybe he might get a little fruit for his efforts, and he will, as Casper goes down and loses that gun. Who knows how well their economy is right now, but that 1 gun could pay dividends into this final round of the half, as we can see a 75 or a 6-6.
Yeah, both teams going to be able to get a decent buy off. However, definitely Eternal Focus Knight not in the greatest spot, despite winning a lot of rounds in a row. They are going to be reduced to a bucket. On the opposite side, the Employed, they've lost a little bit too much. Now they're down to 2 Stingers and a Guardian. On the defensive half, this is not a great buy, especially on a map like this Pearl. There's a lot of long sight lines that you have to walk down, and to have only these close range SMGs, it's going to leave you in a spot that's a little bit disadvantageous, but Hoffy still is going to be able to pick up a lead.
Well, that gun will be able to be picked up in place of the Bucky. It is still a man down, and Sees sitting in the smoke will get spotted out. What was that? I don't know what that was, but he got spotted instantly, as we are back in a 4 versus 4. And Employed have 3 players here and 1 on the flank. The Vice Wall will be able to spot him out and catch it, but Polar, seeing the rest of the team with the Dimensional Drift, is not able to get that much things that he wanted, but Fuzzy somehow on the flank is not noticed. Maybe I think the Vice went down and the wall went down and there was a good timing to be had, but Fuzzy finds a second and it is all on to No Kizzy, who is not able to land the shots. And Fuzzy finds 3 on the round from the flank, giving Employed a very crucial lead, 7-5.
I wouldn't say it's crucial. I'd say it's good, but it's like 6-6 is still not the end of the world for them. The Employed, though, that's going to help their mentality for sure. They're up 6-3 at one point, only able to end the half 7-5. They're on match point. They are the ones that are able to dictate this game because they are already up 1-0. Eternal Focus Knight, you know, they are a little bit in the dumps. They got to win this game if they want to bring it to Haven, if they want to bring this game to a third map. However, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be excruciating going all the way up there because they still gotta collect 8 rounds before their opponents only get 5. So definitely a big stepping stone to overcome. However, or sorry, not 5, 6, but still 6 to 8, definitely a relatively big difference. And it's all gonna start with this pistol. You can get 9 rounds, 5, it's gonna be massive.
Yoru gets the information there and spots all of the members from the Employed roster as the entire team of Eternal is going to start to rotate over. The Vice Wall does have good delay. Fronto Pronto shield goes down, not able to have it up for the rest of this round. Gets full blind, and Hoffy and Casper trade blow for blow as Fuzzy runs through mid, gets heard by No Kizzy. Maybe the flag should have been a little bit slower, but right now Eternal have the advantage. But Fronto Pronto finds the collateral with the ghost. Headshot for headshot. Isn't able to land the third onto Polar though. Polar finds one of his own, and right now it is all onto Hoffy. We've seen him do it before. He's found the headshot, and both of these players are low, but Hoffy is lower. It will take a body shot to kill him, but a headshot to kill Polar. But this bomb's being stuck, and Hoffy finds the headshot. No way. Employed get another pistol on the board as they go up 8-5, and Hoffy comes online once again for this Employed roster.
1 second, peeps. I gotta
Oh my god, Hoffy is an absolute nightmare on the battlefield, making a 1v2 clutch their own. And you gotta give it to him. 16-12 on Lotus in their previous matchup. Then going over to the next game, going 9-16. They made that comeback. They made that showdown, showing this like they broke. They need the money, but guess what? They already got it.
Hoffy looking like the go right now, and Employed walking up in this A main area are finding no contention, and they don't know it obviously, but there is nobody to greet them on the A site, and Fuzzy just solo swings B long with an outlaw and finds a freebie. But he will have to be careful when he does rotate over, as there is a lot of mid aggression, and while he is aware of it,
Not ready yet. Good hit.
his flash will spot out Ghoul, and he'll have to be really careful. He'll be clearing the space, but the headshot from Ghoul is just too powerful. And while there are 3 players on this flank, the bomb site does belong to the Employed. And Eternal does have an outlaw on their hands, but will that be enough to win this retake?
Now, if you are Eternal Focus Knight, you're being leveraged right now. This next round is going to be so impactful, and the time is not in your favor. Pronto, peeking off of the eye, coming on in. The Haunt finds nothing except their body, but it's not going to matter. Pronto, not afraid of no sniper. They bring out the wall. They bring out everything, just biding their time. Note's going to be able to find one. The Employee's still in the advantage. The time ticks down. Hoffy finds another, showing their prowess once more, being that domination. Pronto's going to be able to fall. There's Polar making something, but Wu Javo taking the game. The substitute of the Employed brings it back and secures the round.
Call this man the super sub. Call this man CGRS, because he is looking lights out on this Pearl. And right now, 9-5 is a really good scoreline. If you think about it, that's 4 more until they win. They're already up the map 1. They could take map 2 in this fashion, and while this is their bonus, they do still have that Guardian, the Stingers, the Sheriff online, so all it takes is 1 headshot, and that is all they need to get another kill.
Now, when you look at previous matchups, we've only seen Hoffy on that breach. This time, they're coming straight on in, but straight on into the hands of Ghoul on a triple kill. Hoffy's the one to close them out. switching from that breach position over to the Astra, getting these smokes online, really putting in the effort and really showing why they are the GOAT at every role they pick up.
Eternal Ghoul going huge for that one, while Employed have a massive lead. Ghoul really said, you know what else is massive? Look at this Guardian 3K. And Polar finds 2 more with the Guardian. That's the only gun this roster needs to be able to take out Employed. And Eternal losing 3 members, not necessarily the best, but at the end of the day, a round win is a round win. And Employed are going to buy back up into this round. And surely, whoever loses this one will not have the best buy for the next.
And this is why you put Ghoul and Polar on the same role, right? That duelist. It's an impactful position. It's a stance that gives you that aura. And honestly, if you're either of these players, you're going to be happy with how this match has turned out because of the fact these players have been so impactful through and through, time and time again.
4 players already coming up this way. Wojo finds one, absolutely aura farming this team, not going down, has the dash proc, turns the flash on a dime, looking to find any kills, but nothing is being given to him. Kill contract finds the fade back into the gulag for Pronto, and he finds the kill on the no Kizzy this time, finally besting his nightmares. Wojo jump spots, can't find any information, but Fuzzy finds a very crucial kill in the arc. We're in the 4 versus 2, and Wojo gets the trade from Polar onto Pronto, and it is all on the Casper once again. If he steps into these reservines, it will make an audio cue, and it will give away his position. A second one is dropped, and right now, surely his position is made aware of Fuzzy. He's holding for this mid, but surely he swings into this. Maybe Casper even spams through this box, being aware, sees the leg maybe, and finds the headshot onto Fuzzy. 1 versus 2. However, there is a lot of Astra utility on this bomb. You will have to tap it soon to bait out that suck, but both of these players are on 30 HP. Both of these players are 1 shot to the body from this Phantom. The suck isn't used though, they're calling his bluff. The stun comes through, they're aware of the push, and Wojo finds a 3rd. Balls of steel from Hafi. If that was me, I'd press the suck, and I don't expect the push out there. You at least have to respect the tap, but Hafi just does not care and keeps that suck and stuns him and gets the assist for Wojo. What a play.
Yeah, Haja, this has been insane. This has been absolutely insane. And honestly, I was kind of thinking we might be seeing Casper able to do the impossible once more. We saw them able to do it on Seaside of Lotus last game. This game, not the same case, but down on a very weak buy of only these sidearms once more. A unfortunate demise, possibly awaiting them with 11th round being 1 away from match point. Very similar to a game we just saw on Lotus. It's given me deja vu with a 12-6 possibly on the card, but Node's gonna make it very unlikely with a precise classic headshot, doubling it up. The Employed's gonna be down to a 4v4, however, the Eternal Focus is gonna take that any day of the week.
That was absolutely disgusting from Note. Even though Wojo was aware of the gap in the smoke and the possibility it could be swung, Note just gets the double headshot, the double dink, and gets the 1-for-1 trade. And when you only have a classic, that's something you can take. Polar finds 2 body shots on the Pronto, not able to find the kill, but Ghoul, with Pronto being so low, is able to find a connection. The overclock isn't able to find a pick on the C's, but gets his teammate, but drops him severely low. And Eternal are really in this round. 2 versus 2, and Kizzy has a gun of his own, finds the headshot with the share, and it is all on the Fuzzy. Nightfall comes through, and these two find a 50 round for Eternal, which I find to be very surprising, but I mean, at the end of the day, Eternal, they just hit their shots that round, and Employed weren't hitting theirs.
That's going to be a really, really impactful round, putting the Employed down to a very low buy, forcing Wujavu onto their Blade Storm. Could possibly give them some investments worth going for, but Eternal Focus Knight really going to be off the back of No2 was able to force that into a 4v4 position that really secured them an ability to get back into this game. If you go down 11-6, obviously it's still winnable, however, it becomes excessively more painful to be able to get back in that mentality of this is an even game. Right now, it's probably around a 60-40. The Employed is definitely at a higher spot. However, the Eternal Focus should be able to win this round. They're going to invest heavily into it as well with this ult coming in from the Oriole.
I don't know, these Stinger purchases from Employed have been really volatile, and Polar, if he's not careful, could give away a weapon. is able to TP out, but if he died there, that's a Vandal in the hands of Employed. Very risky play, but high risk, high reward is how it goes in this game. And right now, Employed are a little bit lost as all the control they have is mid. I wouldn't necessarily say lost, but they don't have a lot of map control for themselves. While Eternal are controlling the map right now. Passive info on B, Yoru up on A, and Casper finds a pick on the Wojo, and Kizzy finds two. Seas tries to swing, but Kizzy is just too good. With 58 HP remaining, they get a flawless round, which is sure to bolster the economy for the coming rounds.
Yeah, the Eternal Focus Knight able to bring a third, equalizing this half at 3-3. However, the economy is going to be back in either team's favor. Eternal Focus Knight, as you said, going to be in a very much higher position in terms of it. However, they did invest a couple of ults into that round. No more overclock, no more drift. This is going to put them in a position where they really do have to make something. But that dimensional drift is a really powerful tool. There's a reason it recently got buffed to 8 ult orbs out over that previous 7. Now that that's no longer going to be on the cards, the Employed going to be the ones in the driver's seat. They got 3 ultimates to hit this site with, 2 of which can be really, really volatile. Next round, they possibly might want to go for a B hit as well to just get that Cosmic Divide into usage. But yeah, that's going to be difficult to really get around if you're the Eternal Focus Knight.
Yeah, I mean, the Vice Ultimate Steel Garden has the same range of that Killjoy lockdown, so that will cover all of A site if they so desire to use it. And if you look at the minimap, there are 9 players in this direction, but Employed decide it's wise to rotate, and they will have a lot of spawn to re-clear. They will leave Vice on this lurk though, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we saw some Astro Utility dropped down, and if we saw a Steel Garden being dropped as sort of a fake, but with the Haunt missing, and Fuzzy having this up control, they're going to re-hit this A. And right now, with no B presence being made, Steel Garden will drop. And all these players are here. All 4 players are hit. They don't have any real guns. And Fronto Pronto goes in. Can't hear a damn thing. Is stopped by the Seas. Kill contract on the site. That is audacious. Pronto in the Gulag with Polar is able to win it out, but surely the teammates will swing through the Astral Divide, but it actually provides him the cover that he needs. Nightfall getting ready to be used here from the side of Employed. When will it come? When will it go? Gulda finds the kill onto Pronto, and Hoppy finds one, but Casper and Note are able to find some of their own. Nightfall not being invested yet. Suck on the bomb. Not being stuck, but still right now the advantage is in Eternal Focus's favor, but the Astral Divide is going to cut off the bomb here, and it is all on to Seas. Haunt comes through, gets shot out, but Casper cleans it out, and that was a round that was stolen away from Employed. I understand the not wanting to drop the Nightfall there, but it cost them everything as Pronto alone on site gets isolated by Ghoul, and everything just fell apart from there.
That really was just a good round from Eternal Focus Knight. They played that perfectly. A great read from them to be able to just stick on that A site, read it like a book, because we can see that before they did go for this hit, when they were looping back around, you could see that there was that gate crash from the Yoru over towards the B site. It seemed as if towards at least a little bit in, they might have had second doubt, they might have crashed it over, and possibly put them into a 3v5 position. However, the Eternal Focus Knight went into that post point with 4 people on site. That just leads them into such a good position.
With 3 players from Employed shooting that Haunt, Eternal are just fully aware of this full roster barreling down mid, coming in with the death train, but they find one onto Ghoul, which is very good for them, being in the man advantage. And now with these close quarters weapons and the Sheriff from Wosho, it's going to be a 5 versus 3. Make that 4. Note finds an evener, not necessarily even with these close range weapons, and Kizzy is going to find one. Pronto with the trade. And Employed right now have a decent advantage, but Note is able to find an isolation onto Hoppy. Steel Garden comes through, both players being able to avoid it, will still have their guns, but the stall on the Razor Vines on the bomb will surely hold them off.
Enemy remaining.
Fuzzy's going to find a swing, will find the kill, and right now Fuzzy finds a third, and Employed get to 11 off of the back of Fuzzy. Another thrifty round coming through, and for Employed, that was much needed. Instead of having a tied scoreline, they are now up 11-9.
And I just want to reiterate how necessary Fuzzy was to that puzzle. He was the piece that was allowing them to take out Ghoul, playing in a main to start out the round. After that, if Ghoul was there, Eternal Focus Knight would be able to get this A site under their hands very easy. And it wasn't in the palm of their hands after that kill, and for sure, that last 2K going in Fuzzy's favor just really did seal the deal, put the nail in the coffin, and Eternal Focus Knight is now down 2 round points more. Employed 1 away from match point, and they're going to barrel down B main once more.
Casper Spam not able to find any connections, but he has the information, gets suppressed and pulls knife out. Maybe just caught out in the open there, gets isolated from the team, and he will pay for it. As Employed find the opener, and everything on the site is cleared. The retake will have to be ecstatic from Eternal in order to come back into this one. All players coming from these 2 chokes could definitely go down to these crossfires, but right now Fronto, Pronto, and Wojo at the front of it. If they're not careful, they could get isolated on their own. They could get wrapped on. Flash gets avoided, and Polar finds 2! They had told you they had to be careful, and right now Eternal have the momentum back in their favor. The bomb being stuck by Ghoul gets sucked, but it's half. They don't know that. The bomb is half. They need to spam. No, they're not gonna find him, and that's 10 for Eternal. Seas finds a consolation prize, but at the end of the day, a round win is a round win, and that's what they are looking to find.
Still, the Employed, I don't know what that was. Why are we doubling up and tripling up in B main? It doesn't really make sense to an extent, especially with the way they planted the spike. You got to plant that farther back to have that geometry to get the angle. However, they just kind of like played that to a point where a smoke is going to kill their entire plan. And the smoke did kill their entire plan. So the Eternal Focus Knight, they were able to take a really strong round off of having that discipline to stick that bomb. They knew it was worth it, and it really did pay out in dividends. The Employed now going into round number 22. Necessary to collect this next one, or else you will be equalized once more. They've been barely able to stay ahead, and now with Vice Utility set up here, it's even harder.
And despite the heavy-hearted loss they had in that last round, they are still barreling it up B long. But it seems like once again, after the haunt scans 3 players, they might just opt to rotate out, as the entire 3 members from Eternal are here to contest the site. And right now, it seems like they are just going walkabouts back in their own spawn, reclearing some space, leaving the flank, or at least the lurk, on B. And it seems like this round is just slowing down, as they are going to reclear some A and mid space.
Yeah, Eternal Focus Knight exhausting that fade ult, and now without the Nightfall in hand, it's going to leave the Employed to just kind of pivot away, move over to the A site, and this detour is going to allow them to just kind of put themselves in a position where they're just having to deal with 1, maybe 2 players from the Eternal Focus Knight. Still not pulling any audio cues. Maybe they pick up the ult orb. Yep, that's going to be the sound cue
30 seconds
to tell
left.
everyone on Eternal Focus Knight it's rotation time. Get over here. But with Wojo taking the first blood, the Employed is going to have this site with ease.
Absolutely crucial pick onto Ghoul. That was their entire site information and their power position on that site. And right now they have everything to re-clear, with Ghoul going down, and Fuzzy has a dirty timing as No just turned the corner and he finds the kill. And it looks like we might be going to 12, but never count Eternal out. They still have 3 shooters on their side. No Kizzy being at the front of it. They still have all the Astra utility. They have the Astra suck. They have everything that they need to close out this round. Fuzzy finds Polar, and he finds a third onto No Kizzy, and Wojo cleans it up as Employed get a flawless round, losing no weapons, bolstering their economy, and getting to match, series, and everything point in this grand finals.
And it's really just so devastating how that last round went. A flawless, certainly going to put the books down and away without even taking a single kill. Eternal Focus Knight definitely not going to be happy, but it's not how it starts, it's how it ends. If Eternal Focus Knight can take this round off of a Thrifty with only 3 rifles in hands, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. However, it's certainly not impossible. We've seen them make magic before. Can they do it again? Because the Employed, they do have that ultimate with that Steel Garden. However, it's not going to find a whole ton against some sidearms.
No Kizzy and Pronto have been facing each other so much in the kill contract, and this time it is Pronto to come out on top. Casper finds the evener with the Sheriff, though.
4 versus 4 as he's isolated on this site, looking to find more, but Pronto finds his second into the round, sees, finds another. This might be Raps, but no, has the clap back. Pronto loses the shield. Steel Garden comes through. Neither of the players tagged up, and Pronto has this power position, but Polar spots him out from heaven. 2 versus 2, Astral Divide. Everything is dropping this round. There's another Astral Divide on Lawn if Note decides to use it, but Huffy, the spray is labored, but he finds a Note who's not looking, and it is all onto Polar. Only a Sheriff in hand finds the kill. Fuzzy, 1 versus 1 time on his side. No utility to his name. Bomb planted for him though. Polar, a gust of wind could blow him over. 32 health to his name. Fuzzy spots him not on the bomb, but Polar gets the kill! 12-11 is the score, and Polar gets gifted an opportunity. I'm 100% sure Fuzzy saw him not on the bomb. Maybe he didn't, but Polar times that absolutely astonishingly. He's able to get this kill onto Hoffy and then find the last one onto Fuzzy to keep his team in the tournament. Tournament hopes alive. Call him Tyrese Halliburton because he is here to play.
I just don't get it. Why, like, we can see from the replay that our lovely producer is showing us, like, this is Eternal Focus's game to lose. The Employed had 2 players on them in backside. I mean, I don't want to say that the Vice sold that, but I don't know why you would just start running it down B main. I mean, obviously, yeah, you're going to want to try and play post plan if it doesn't go your way, but right now you know where they are. You can double up on them. Right now you're giving them ones, and now Casper gonna have to try and make some success here on the B site.
All on his lonesome once again. No teammates to support. Gets spotted by the Haunt. They're aware of his position, and Wojo just hits the flick. It's nasty. 5 versus 4 for Employed. Pronto takes more up positioning, and this time it seems like Employed aren't having as many players towards the long area, but I also don't like that they have 3 people in back halls, as they've had multiple there in the past, but it's been the death of them. Right now, these 4 players from Eternal are looking to play this retake nice and slowly. They do have classics and a judge from Nokizzy. Knife out! What is he doing? He has the knife out! But Polar has to do it all again! But Seas closes it out, and the series is over. Employed take it 2-0. My voice is dying, and that is Raps. 2-0 Employed.
That was absolutely insane, and you really do have to give it to Wojo there, coming in as the substitute. Wojo Val making the plays, making the game, and making this series. Going up to be the grand finals of the Luxe North American Qualifier Summer Classic US League. A phenomenal game number 2, taking this series. An absolute insane storyline, moving up from the lower brackets into the grand finals. Absolute cinema here for the Employed. Eternal Focus Night. They came and they did good, especially when it came to their match last week, winning out 7-13, 6-13. This was not the same story whatsoever. Completely flipped up the script, and it really was just Fuzzy. We see him here. Fuzzy and Happy both were such strong playmakers. On the opposite side, you can't count them out. Eternal Focus Night, especially Polar, was just such a strong team. Nokizzy as well, putting up some phenomenal performances. Goal having a little bit of a rough game number 2. Game 1 certainly looked their way. However, that's the problem when you're not familiar with some of these late game series. It can really be excruciating to play through each and every one, playing your best. So you really do have to give it to everyone here, but definitely the Employed took it within a massive differential, with 25 and 16 being Fuzzy's scoreline. On the opposite side, the best one was 20 kills. So really, it's just Fuzzy, the MVP of the series.
I don't know, man. Hafi also putting in some work, but at the end of the day, while Eternal did not win this game today, they certainly played well this entire tournament, and I can confidently say GG, well played to them. But more importantly, congratulations to the Employed winning the grand finals, and certainly they had a job to do today as they took the series 2-0. First one in dominant fashion, second one absolute nail biter, and it was a pleasure to watch every single bit of it.
Definitely. And I'm not sure if we're going to have an interview tonight. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But for sure, we're going to be going to a quick little break. Maybe we'll be back. But if not, it's been fun. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to our producer, Nick Encias. Thank you, Jesse, for coming on the mic. And, it's been fun. But we'll see you possibly in a little bit. Maybe not. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're joining you once more, and this time we got the interview. Fuzzy is coming on the mic. So, Fuzzy, we're going to be here with you, and I want to get that insight. So, just to start us off, how does it feel to be the winner of the Lux Series Summer Invitational?
Feels great. Feels great. It was really nice to actually win grand final, especially having a lot of fills in. Get some players gone. Yeah, to reschedule a couple, and it was great feeling. Hafi came in clutch. Shout out to the goat. Yeah, it feels great.
Yeah, both you and Hoffy putting in the work, but I have a more personal question. What does it mean to get your clap back on Eternal after losing to them in the upper finals?
Oh yeah, no, we were upset. We were upset when we first lost because we honestly thought our sunset was really good, and so was our lotus, and they just kind of, I don't know, they destroyed us. Also, we had a Jay Birdie tilting a little, but all good. We had Wojo in now. This guy came in clutch and he filled in, did really good. It was great to have get the comeback.
Yeah, we do have
Yeah,
Jay
just
Birdie in the Twitch chat. Is there anything that you would like to say to him?
I miss him. I miss him. I miss him so
Aw,
much.
so cute, bro.
He's down to I think he went to Chicago, but he's the yeah no he's the he's
Chirac,
the he's the true he's the true goat. He's the true goat. Him and
true
Hafi.
goat.
Yeah, just to reiterate that, I mean, I want to get your thoughts because we didn't see you on the roll, but you're two duelist players. Swapping over, is there like a reasoning for why the ISO was picked both maps, even though Jay Bordy was that signature ISO player? Or how did that kind of role swap work for you, having that Neon player moving over to more of a passive duelist with a little bit less entry necessity? Or necessity, I guess would be the better word for that.
So Jay Birdie originally went ISO just because FP is a bit of he's a neon Clove player, but Clove is a really ranked agent, so ISO actually fit him pretty well. Um, Woj also came in and he's normally primary duelist and he's able to fill that main role, and FP was comfortable switching to ISO, especially he's been Clove and more of like a one tap aimer type player. So it fit him really well.
Yeah, speaking of Wojo, we have a lot of chat gassers. Is there anything you would like to say to the chat who have been hyping up Wojo this entire series? Is he the GOAT?
No, Woj coming into Phil and with the ranked mentality to come in and like win like that, yeah, he's the goat. He's the goat. Whole team's the goat.
Well, just to conclude this interview, I want to get one last question out of you. Do you do you have any plans before going up to Toronto for those grand finals against the Canadian team coming out? Is there gonna be practice? Is there gonna be more tournaments to be played? What is your story looking like?
Uh, so I originally we just kind of formed this team for this tournament, and it ended up fitting well, pretty good. Um, we had a player drop out at the very beginning, but then we were able to pick up Huffy. It's been playing pretty well. But yeah, we're probably gonna crunch Premier for a bit, see if we can't get in. And that'll be our scrim practice, and we'll go from there.
Well, thank you so much for the insight. Thank you for joining us in this interview. And just to conclude, anybody you would like to thank? Any dogs, cats, parents, siblings, anything like that that you want to give us a little bit of a shout out to before we head out?
We gotta shout out C's. He's a IRL friend, and shout out Cleo, my dog. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the interview, Fuzzy. And thank you to all of you for tuning into this stream. Thank you, Jesse EP, for coming on in for our production tonight and just for the week, because you were really the GOAT coming in almost every single day. Thank you to Nick NCS, the real GOAT, coming in almost every single day as well. And yeah, that really is going to be it. Our producer, the GOAT, our caster, Jesse EP, the GOAT, me, that random guy who filled last minute, someone. Yeah,
The
I came
GOAT.
in.
The
I
GOAT.
came in. I came in. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm here when you need me. But thank you all to you guys for coming on in to enjoy the Lux series. A great grand final. Definitely nothing to slouch about because of how just this game proceeded. It was insane. Both teams had their ups, both teams had their downs. But that is going to do it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
I've been there. in, chasing the wind. Gotta love it while you can. In the moment, let it in. No holding back, can't pretend. Chasing the wind. Gotta love it while you can. In the moment, let it in. No holding back, can't pretend. Look at you now. You finally did it, finally made your mama proud. Yeah, they doubted, but the fire never drowned. Your haters in the crowd, all eyes on you now. Chasing the wind, gotta love it while you can. In the moment, let it in. No holding back, can't pretend. Chasing the wind, gotta love it while you can. In the moment, let it in. No holding back, can't pretend. Your friends, they talk, saying you should be the one to stop. They say you're wrong. Don't you let them get into your thoughts. They're gonna tell